Ready?
Yep.
Let's do it.
Well, how would you assess how things are going? A week plus in the camp.
Yeah, I mean, we hadn't done a ton of tackling yet. That's a huge part of it. But you can still coach off of leverage and how we throw the ball carry. I think that's inconsistent right now. Just getting guys out there who hadn't played a whole lot and playing full speed. But I've seen flashes of good stuff. Just got to be consistent. Coach Harrell talked about toughness, I guess it would have been last Thursday. And, I was talking about the guys. I think the toughest people I know are consistent, and in what they do on a daily basis. And that's what we're trying to get out of those guys. But seeing plenty of flashes, like I'm sure Coach Harrell's mentioned, we've got some older guys, not necessarily always experienced, but they're older, so they know how to come to work and things like that. So the effort's there. We just got to hone in on doing our job and all those types of things.
Do you feel that when you got here for camp, everybody had retained everything that was installed in the spring?
Yeah. I think there was a lot of retention from the spring, but at the same time, we brought in a lot of guys over the summer. So I think we had a good off season. We had a good summer, and I think we're probably day 7 or 8, whatever it is now. Really we've got everything in from a base down standpoint. So really now you're just evaluating the player, because he should know what to do and things like that. And if he doesn't know what to do, then he's not going to be out there. So. But I think they're retaining what we want them to do. It's just a matter of executing and going out and playing football.
Seems like as you've gone in the full pads, like I saw a couple of your guys like farmers carrying the dude off the field today. Have you guys seen that intensity? How is it matched up intensity-wise with what you want?
Yeah, our guys play with an edge. I'll give them that. The culture that was here already when I got here. These guys, they love football. They play with an edge. They play violent. And we've been pretty violent this spring or this fall camp. So far. I appreciate that. That's what we need. You still got to practice like a pro and take care of your teammates when the time comes. But I'm looking forward to us being live on Saturday in the stadium.
When you put on the full pads this past weekend, how long in your experience do you expect to lose all the rust and kind of get back to full game shape?
It's like I said. I think you got to go defensively. You got to go tackle. I don't see how you can evaluate who your best 11 to 22 guys are if you don't know who can tackle. Because we can run all the best schemes in the world, but if we can't tackle and get off blocks, that's just what defense is. So, I think once we get that full scrimmage under our belt, we'll have a good evaluation, and slowly but surely we'll chip away at who we think are the guys we need to roll with.
Is there a guy or a group of guys that seem to have made a jump since spring to now, just based on things clicking a little bit mentally, or which?
Probably I think that first group of safeties is pretty salty. Jamarlee and Demarius Hines and Teagan and KJ Merrill and those guys. They're kind of the top 4 that kind of rotate in there a lot, and I've been pleased with them this camp so far. Marley, had a really good freshman year. I know I wasn't here, but if I watched the tape, he had a really good freshman year, and him taking a big jump as a sophomore will be a huge deal. And then you got Demarius Hines, who kind of took on a bigger role as the season went on, and I think he's going to be a big-time player for us at safety. And then Teagan's well-known around here.
When you have a guy like Jamarlee who, probably has some expectations, how do you make sure there's no sophomore slump? Keep asking them to go to the next level, keep pushing them to go to the next level.
Yeah, I think as long as you hold people accountable, they're going to continue to get better. There's always something he can improve on, and he's a special kid. He sits right in that chair right there, and he's got the best eye contact in all our unit meetings, and really focused and locked in. He runs the show out there at free safety, and really pleased with him. He doesn't act like a sophomore. But we push all these guys. It doesn't matter if you're the all-conference NFL guy or whatever, and that's the culture of our team. I have had no issues of him. I have no expectation of him having a sophomore slump.
Well, Teagan, he's a guy who left, came back, obviously different coordinators at the time.
Yeah.
But when you're bringing so many young guys along, how does having an older guy like that help with, getting everything installed?
Yeah, because, as a young guy, you try to teach them, but they really don't get that many reps to learn, right? So you got to have solid 1s and 2s who can go out there and give reps. So when you turn on the tape, you can say, this is how you do it, this is how you practice, this is how you prepare, ... And having guys like Teagan, that helps a lot, because it doesn't matter what scheme we run. He's been in a lot of systems, and he picks things up really easily. He moves around a lot. He's kind of a Swiss Army knife for us. So, a lot of guys are learning from him, not just the young guys, even the juniors. I feel like are learning things from him.
Coach Tesh, obviously been here a while.
Yeah.
Almost tenured assistant. I know you got a background coaching D-line. What do you just kind of notice from his group and his technician teaching and kind of the growth they've made since you've been here?
I mean, they got a great no-nonsense approach. I love that. Everybody always talks about O-line. It's kind of a group that gets no credit. I think especially those interior guys, they get double-teamed half the time. And if anybody thinks that's easy, try having 600 pounds of you-know-what leaning on you for 50 plays and see how you like it, So I think those guys just have a no-nonsense approach of just understanding I'm going to do my job and I'm going to go to work every single day. And Coach Tesh is one of the best in the business and does a great job of preparing those guys. Like you said, I mean, D-line was kind of my baby for a long time, and I really like how those guys are playing. And we just, we're really deep there, not because we got 8 all-conference kids, but because we got a lot of guys that can play for us. So when you have that, those guys can push each other because it's probably a rotating door as to who starts, and so really excited about that group in that regard and the competition. If they don't come on their A game, they're liable to be a 2 the next day. And so really excited about how they're practicing and the group they have.
Coach Sam Dinka almost kind of feels like a wild card in his defense.
Yeah.
How was his move to a different position and being able to be so flexible for your guys, being able to help your defense?
Good. I mean, just when you got a guy that long, it doesn't matter if you got him on the edge or at linebacker, it helps your defense. I think him honing in on linebacker is what he's working on. I thought he had a good off season. He's eager to learn, and if we can just get him in spots to fit his skill ability, I think it's going to help our defense a lot. He makes a lot of plays. I mean, you look out there, he didn't even start last year, and I remember watching film. He had a big interception versus Tulsa and some other things. The guy just makes plays. He gets his hands on the ball. He gets after the quarterback. So we just got to find ways to create good matchups for him to go make plays, and that's my job. So.
What are the biggest things you want to see in this first scrimmage Saturday?
We'll see his tackle well. I mean, that's obvious, I guess. But I just when it comes down to it, that's what the game is. I think we run the best schemes. I think we got a great group of staff, but we got to tackle, and that's stopping the run and driving on the football when they choose to throw it. So I want to see us do that. I think we'll do it well. Sometimes in practice when you're thud, you tell them, you probably would have missed that tackle. They say, no, if we were full speed, I would have. There'll be no excuses this time around. So that's what I love. I ain't got to listen to it. And so I'm excited to see those guys go out there and pull their pin and get guys on the ground.
Anything else for Coach? Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, guys.
How is everybody? Long time no see. Great. Y'all go ahead.
So it's just confidence-wise, like this time compared to last year, how much do you feel like your staff, your offense, knowing cadence of guys kind of growing over that?
Yeah, I mean, it's just it's night and day from last year, from a sense of just confidence and mostly more than anything continuity. From the staff down, from the players. When you've got a quarterback that knows what's going on and knows what we're doing, that kind of just bleeds to the rest of the team. And then, staff-wise, this time last year, if there was a mistake or something happened, I was trying to get there as fast as I could to correct it. Now, before I can even get words out of my mouth, Coach Freeman's fixing it or Dyrell's fixing it. So that piece of it is just totally different, and it's allowed us to, trying to accelerate a little bit as far as what we're doing, but at the same time, never doing too much too fast.
You guys add Michael Wright, obviously, to the quarterback room. How do you balance his talent, but also Peyton's the guy? So I don't know.
Yeah, it's it's a deal where Mike was brought here for a reason. He was brought to add depth and to do those types of things. And if we ever got in a pinch, get him in the game. I don't foresee anything to where we're ever playing the 2 quarterback system or anything like that. That's just not something I really believe in. It's kind of the old saying, like, if you got 2 quarterbacks, you don't have one. And I think you just mess with the rhythm of your starter if you kind of do some of that stuff. So Mike will find his role. that's the thing I love about Mike Wright. He has great leadership qualities. He is a great teammate. He's one of those guys. He is the opposite of an energy vampire. He brings great energy every day, and so, Mike will have a right on this team. He'll have a role on this team, whether it's special teams, offense, whatever it may be. But we'll find him a role somehow.
As far as Caden goes, obviously had the offseason surgery and kind of ramped up back to full speed at the end of spring. How would you assess where he's at this point?
Yeah, just miles ahead of where he was a year ago. Just doing a great job of just trying to soak everything in, and he's asking questions like crazy. He's asking questions like a guy that just got here, and that's exciting because he's just constantly wanting to learn. Injury-wise, he got to get those reps in spring, which I think was huge. There was no getting back into the rhythm of things. Started fall camp. He hit the summer run and been the same through fall camp. So couldn't be more excited where he's at and just his development.
With the offense, what changes do you make? How does it keep evolving versus just getting more consistent?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for us that you would see from last year to this year is really internally. We've changed a lot of signals up, a lot of calls up front. We have a common opponent. We just played a team in the bowl game that will play first game of the year. We actually have several players, on Campbell's team that were been here the last year, and so you never want to just stay status quo with those type of things. So we spent a lot of time in changing that up, just to, I guess, keep our advantage in that regard. But we're always finding new ways because it's different personnel. And for us, it's finding the best ways to use our pieces and the pieces to the puzzle that we have. And so that's the biggest thing for us is finding what our guys do best and trying to hone in and craft those things.
Coach, as far as young or new guys to the team this year, is there anyone that's really stood out to you that you see making an impact maybe this last year?
A couple guys in that receiver room that really, really excited about. A couple guys that are new in Tyler Johnson and Quez Petaway. They're not loud guys, which I love, which is sometimes opposite of a receiver. They just come to work every day. And a guy that has been in our program since we've been here is a guy, Malik Leverett. Could not be more proud of him. Like his just demeanor is exactly what you want. It's a workman mentality. He's come to work every day and just kept his head down and he keeps making plays, keeps showing up. And that's what we tell our guys. If you want to play for us, if you want to play, on this unit, you've got to build trust. And Malik has built a ton of that over the last couple weeks.
You got Marlon and London coming back in the backfield. Just how have you seen them grow since last season?
Yeah, they've been awesome. They both, Marlon is such a great leader in that room. He's the older guy. And London's done a great job too. The thing I love about them is they're kind of the same way. They just come to work every day, but I can start to see them grabbing the young guys because that's a really underrated, talented room. Just all the way down, DeJuan Lacey has flashed, Eddie Love's flashed, TJ has flashed. And so those guys helping bring those young guys around and get them going, I think, is the best thing. But they've just been consistent, Marlon and London have, and that's what we ask from those guys. They don't have to make the home run play every time. Just be consistent and do what we're trying to get accomplished.
You guys do a lot of different things up front, especially because, you're an RPO team. A lot of turnover on the offensive line this year from a year ago. How the new guys you're presume are going to be the ones who step into those roles?
Yeah, I think the nice thing that we have right now is, I can sit here and tell you that we've got a defined guy at every spot, but we have multiple people at a couple of spots that are question marks for us that, honestly, I trust them to go play right now. Left guard, Kyle and Panda going back and forth at it. And that was something we didn't have a year ago. We didn't have 7, 8 guys, 9 guys that we trusted to put in the football game. And that, to me, is where we're farther along as far as, there's at this level, a lot of times there's a huge drop-off when you get to that second-team offensive line. And that to us right now is not the case at all. Like Jason Tarpey is having his best camp right now, running with the 2s at tackle. He's a guy that has put himself in a position to go play in games for us. And if we're able to do that up front, we're a little different in that regard, being what we are. Like, we'll rotate those guys up front because, if I have 2 guys I can trust up front, if I can get them to go play 50 snaps, 45 snaps a game, that just means they're more fresh as the game goes on. And so that's something that a year ago, no chance we would have been able to do, but I feel like we're in a way better spot to be able to do it.
When you look at the offense as a whole, how would you assess kind of the effort and intensity you've seen so far to this point in camp?
Yeah, I'm really, really excited, and the main reason being is that this year, we're in a lot better spot as far as being a player-led unit. You know, you've got guys like Caton, Anthony Smith, Yannick Smith, Marlon, London, McCrimmon, Kojo. Those guys have been in our system for a year now, and they're doing a great job of pushing it every day and having a sense of urgency. You know, we say in our first unit meeting, you know, we're in a race against time and against ourselves of how great do we want to be, and we put a slide up there, our first unit meeting, that said, good is the enemy of great. You know, do we want to be a good unit or do we want to be a great unit? Because to be a great unit, it takes certain things, and to this point, we're doing those things at a pretty good level, and we got to keep our foot on the gas.
Is there anything specifically you're looking to learn from the scrimmage upcoming?
You know, as always, it's us establishing the run game. You know, those guys up front doing a great job, backs running through tackles. You know, that's the common theme you hear probably from Coach Harrell from the defensive side. Like when those guys, those backs get in one-on-one situations, who's going to make people miss? And then just the guys, finding the guys that make the routine plays. It's like I said a second ago, like we don't need guys to make freak show plays. We just need guys to make consistent plays over and over and over again.
At the end of last week, Coach Harrell praised how Raheem Jeter has grown. What specifically do you feel like he's grown on from last season?
Everything he does is just so much faster as far as processing things, getting the ball out of his hand, and Coach hit it on the head. Like, I could not be more proud of Raheem. And like I said, we talk about, like, if you want to play for us, we need to trust you. We need to trust that you're going to do the right thing at the right time. And Raheem is another one of those guys that's been in our program, been in the system now. And he's a guy that I fully trust to go in there and operate and put the ball where it's supposed to be.
You know, DeCirio and Javonte, like, clearly they've got the talent. So, you know, what's the next step for them putting it all together?
Yeah, I think it comes down to consistency. You know, those two guys are probably the two, like, pound for pound, freakiest athletes we have on the team. You know, you're talking about two 6'4" individuals that are 240 pounds. Both of them, I think, touched 21 miles per hour this summer. It's just them having consistency, you know, showing up in the passing game, showing up in the run game, because we just ask those guys to do so much, and that's a hard position to play for us in this offense, and I don't think, you know, that position gets enough credit for that. So we put a lot on them, and it's just consistency. They got to be able to do it all, and if they don't, it's hard to keep them in the game. But, you know, to this point, they've both done it. They both are having their best camp since I've been around them, especially Javonte. Obviously, I've got history with him. He's in just a different place mentality-wise. He just, you know, he's got a great personality, but sometimes he struggles honing it in, and he's done that to this point. We got to keep going with him.
One more question.
Coach, this is your second year here. Just how more comfortable are you calling plays or going through this spring than compared to last year?
Yeah, I think having the ability to just reflect back and obviously do a ton of self-scout on us last year, seeing how we grew, you know, not only after the season but throughout the season, how we got better, how I got better. And I think that's what I want to continue to do even through fall camp. You know, what are ways that I can continue to grow as a play caller. But just like I said earlier, just so much more comfortable just because of the continuity. Like having the same exact offensive staff we had sitting in that room a year ago, like that's so undervalued because we're all speaking the same language. You know, I don't feel like I'm having to fix 1,000 things. I trust those coaches to go do it for me and say exactly how we want it. And so just couldn't be more comfortable and just excited for, you know, obviously the players we have, but also the staff and just the continuity there.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, appreciate it, guys.